Hello everyone and welcome back to the Chassis Variant series of myself, Critical Rocket, and we're looking at our next clan mech. We're looking at the Warhawk, also known as the Masakari within the DCMS or the Kuritan space, as it was mostly seen used by Clan Smoke Jaguar during their invasion. Historically, this mech was designed by Clan Smoke Jaguar in preparation for the invasion of the Inner Sphere, about 3 or 4 decades before the invasion proper occurred, due to what was called the Dragoon Compromise, which prevented the invasion from occurring as soon as the clans initially intended it to. Essentially, it gave the Inner Sphere time to unknowingly increase their tech base and in a way, kind of be better prepared by having newer tech, newer mechs, that kind of thing, already available. The Smoke Jaguars, as I said, built this, and they paired it a lot with their other powerful assault, the Direwolf, and they used it to great effect during the invasion, and to great effect against other clans that they battled in their own space. The Warhawk was named the Masakari by the Kuritans, which is, I believe, a name for a type of axe, a battle axe, I think, in Japanese. So yeah, it was an incredibly powerful battle mech that was used extensively by Smoke Jaguars, but it is seen by other clans, but usually those were salvage, or I believe it's called Isola, from other battles that, likes of Jade Falcon, for instance. If they had any, it was purely Isola. They never traded with the other clans to obtain these assaults. Now, we're looking at the Alpha, which, yes, it may be built, I think this one's built on my Prime chassis, but that's because it could fit this one. The Alpha is, compared to the Prime, which was more of a kind of range support unit with its quad ERPPCs and its LRM-10, this is a bit more of an all-range combat model. It features 2 ER large lasers, a single LB-10, an LRM-15, and a Streak SRM-6. This is backed up by plenty of armour and is capable of doing a rather respectable 64.8 kph at max speed. I'm not sure if speed tweak will affect that or not. But yeah, it's fast for its weight. It has a pretty large engine in there. And the Alpha is, hardpoint wise, actually a little weaker than some of the other versions out there. The Bravo certainly beats it on hardpoints, whereas this has 2 energy, a single ballistic and 2 missile. The Bravo has triple missile with better, I believe it's better energy, but the same number of ballistics hardpoints. Let me just double check that quickly. Yes, it has 4 energy hardpoints compared to this one. So this is 212 energy ballistic missile, whereas the Bravo is 413. That said, excuse me there, oh, throat got a bit crappy. This is a particularly fun build. I quite like it. It's still got a broad enough weapon selection in its default loadout that it can engage targets at all ranges. It doesn't overheat too quickly because it doesn't have an over-reliance on high heat weaponry, which is one of the problems that I think the Warhawk suffers from, even on tabletop it did, in using so many ERPPCs, for instance, or other high heat energy weaponry like large pulses, that kind of thing. This one can fight a lot longer. And as I said, because it can work on pretty much any kind of range combat stance, it can use its lasers at range of its LRM, or it can get close of its LB in medium range or short range and the SRM-6 or Streak 6. It's very flexible in the role and can be used on the assault, used on the defensive. And for players of MechWarrior Online, this means at least you've got a nice base to build from if you want to make any tweaks to it from there. You know, if you prefer dropping the Streak 6 in favour of having a second LRM, or switching the LRM out for a different type of missile weapon, possibly having ATMs, that kind of thing. The flexibility is there. Even having dropping the ballistic and just focusing on more high damage energy weaponry like heavy lasers, that kind of thing. It's all there for you. It's a good, I think, sort of template to work from. Despite the fact that, yes, the Bravo arguably beats it on hardpoints, but this, I stress, this isn't a bad mech. This isn't a bad variant of the Warhawk. And you all know me, I'm not like the biggest fan of clan mechs, but I have always liked the Masakari. It's nasty looking, it's mean, it's intimidating. It's just this, it just looks like this block of metal that can just stomp across and just take huge amounts of fire. It's kind of like, for me, it's the hybrid of a Awesome and a Stalker, because it's the weight of the Stalker and can pretty much come with any amount of weaponry it wants, but it has that that PPC focus of the Awesome of being a kind of siege mech as well. So yeah, it was always pretty cool to see it in any of the games it was in, and obviously I think it's got to be one of the ones that's been in pretty much every mech that's featured, every game that's featured the clans. It's one of the clan mechs, isn't it? Let's face it. Alongside the likes of the Timberwolf and the Mad Dog and that kind of thing, there's always, if you're thinking Clan Assault, I think one of the first ones that springs to most people's minds is going to be the good old Warhawk, right? Because it's just a brute. And one of the reasons it was a brute was on tabletop of it, it had its targeting computer, which worked very differently from MWO's version of targeting computers. Because MWO, you can pick where you fire, you know. It's, if the guy's standing still, you can shoot the arm, and all your shots are going to hit the arm. Whereas in tabletop, it was all random based on die rolls, hit location, that kind of thing. So you would have a targeting computer, and that would allow you to go, I am aiming all my shots at the left leg. And if you roll to hit, you hit. And where did you hit? Left leg. All the damage goes there. It made the Warhawk incredibly powerful for an 85-tonner. And even more scary was the fact that, oh shit, that's just an 85-ton clan mech? What the hell is the 90-ton, the 95, the 100-ton clan mechs are like? God. It was, yeah, it was very terrifying. And one of the reasons you can see why a lot of players back in the 90s when the clans arrived really sort of latched on, because these things just gave tabletop players a huge advantage. GMs, I imagine, across the world were suddenly inundated with player requests. Oh yeah, I want to get a clan mech, I want to get this, I want to get clan technology. Because yeah, compared to Innisphere stuff, what, you know, stat wise, you know, roll wise, of course you were going to pick that thing, you know. So yeah, its legacy is there. I think its legacy is imprinted from many a player who first suffered at the hands of a Masakari, and then later, when they finally got their hands on one, and however the GM would give it to them, would then just be enamoured with having this targeting computer that just allowed you to just tear ass through NPCs. So good, such a nasty mech, and it looks great. PGI's design of it is fantastic. It still keeps that character and the intimidating sort of huge nature of the mech. It's just great. And if you haven't played it, which I'd be surprised if you haven't, it's certainly one to check out. So this match is pretty much nearing its end now. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you have a good week. See ya. Bye.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.